So you're thinking of moving to Lisbon, Portugal. You love what you've seen of Alfama. So historic, so charming, such a sense of place and history. And you love what you've seen in Graça. Amazing views. Oh, it's amazing. It's like being above the whole city. They're right next to each other. Which do you choose? How do you decide? Today, I'm going to help you to compare Graça and Alfama. So let's get started. I'm going to share my screen. We're going to look at the maps so I can show you where this is. This outline here is of Alfama. And then you'll notice the cruise ship terminal right there. Sometimes you can even have two cruise ships with all of their guests piling out into Alfama in a single day. Some days you don't have any, but year round there are cruise ships. So that's one thing to consider. There's the cruise ship terminal. Here is Alfama. Now let's look at Graça. Here is Graça. You'll notice it's just north of and also higher than Alfama. So you have the Miradora de Senhora de Monte right there. And from there, you can look down and to your left a little bit and you see the Moorish castle, the Castelo de São Jorge. And that gives you a little bit of perspective because otherwise that castle is looking down on all of Lisbon and you're even higher than that. So things to consider. A lot of tourists never make it to Graça. Some do. Some of the short-term rentals with the amazing views that are very popular are in Graça. But you have fewer the short-term rentals in Graça than in Alfama. Also, tourists tend to leave Graça as the day comes to an end. They definitely might stay in Alfama. They might go to one of the other areas that's a little bit fuller of nightlife, for instance. Graça has its own nightlife, but it's more local, tavern type nightlife that's more local. And Graça has more of a sense of neighborhood with real neighbors that you see over and over again than Alfama. So Alfama seems to be better for pied-à-terre, not as much for families, for instance. There are exceptions. Families live there, but it's not the best family-friendly neighborhood. It would be better for instance, digital nomads, or if you are an investor and you want to rent out your place, either long-term or short-term. Keep in mind that they're not giving any new AL licenses. That's the kind of license you have to run an Airbnb or something you would rent on booking.com, anything that's short term. But if you have good legal advice and good realtor help, like from us, you can still purchase properties that already have the AL license. We have at least 2 buildings with multiple apartments that would fit that right now, actually. The rental returns for short-term rentals in Alfama are absolutely some of the highest. So far, we've talked about the difference in the volume of tourists. Let's talk about accessibility. So in Alfama, it's the oldest neighborhood in Lisbon. So it was built way before anyone even dreamed of cars. So there's very little parking. Also, it's a little challenging to get your groceries, or what if you buy a new appliance or just a lot of plants for your balcony? It can be hard to get your stuff into your place. So a lot of times places are just sold furnished. So you're not moving everything in and everything out. The 28 tram goes through both. You can walk in both. And there are steep hills in both. But in Graça, there are also areas where it's flat. So you can stick to areas where you're not constantly going up or down steep cobblestone pathways in Graça. It would be pretty challenging in Alfama. The sidewalks are wider in most areas of Graça. In Alfama, you can feel like you're just hanging on to about a foot wide of sidewalk, hoping that you won't be hit by a tram or a car. In Alfama, in the areas that you can drive, sometimes it's closed off to anyone other than taxi or certain cars that have a pass, because there are these big barrier cylinders that come up out of the ground. So that can be both good and bad, but you certainly can't just roam freely. So you have to keep that in mind. As far as pricing, prices tend to be a little bit more affordable in Graça, and places tend to be a little bit bigger in Graça. It's easier, I didn't say easy, but easier to get permits to do renovations and building in Graça than in Alfama. In Alfama, it's such an historic area, and it's protected for that reason. It's protected. So you would have to budget for a lot of time, a lot of trouble, probably a lot of legal fees to do much as far as renovations in Alfama. You'll have to do that to an extent anywhere in an historic area, including Graça, but nothing to the extent of Alfama, I would say. In Graça, you see a lot more kids going to school. In both, you'll see a lot of outdoor cafes, a lot of outdoor seating. But in Alfama, there'd be a lot more locals and some tourists. And in Alfama, a lot more tourists than locals usually. And in Alfama, and it sounds like I don't like Alfama. I love Alfama. I absolutely do. You just have to keep in mind the realities of it. In Alfama, you have a lot of people hawking merchandise, like cheap trinkets, hats, this sort of thing. They need to make a living too, but just to have that noise of that, the chaos of that constantly, it attracts pickpockets, for instance. And there's just so much coming and going because of the cruise ships that there's just a little bit of chaotic energy in Alfama compared to Graça. So I hope this has been helpful. We represent properties in both Graça and Alfama frequently. So we can tell you the ins and outs of the property market there and the renovation projects, this sort of thing. If you are moving to the Lisbon area, whether it's 9 days or 9 months, we would love to help you find just the right spot for you based on your budget, your preferred lifestyle, your list of must-haves, and your list of deal breakers. We especially specialize in helping English-speaking foreigners who are seeking to invest or move to the Lisbon area, anywhere within about a 1 hour radius of Lisbon. So our contact information is in the description below. Please feel free to reach out. If you have found this material helpful in any way, if you've enjoyed it, please like, subscribe, share, tell your friends who might also be interested in moving to the Lisbon area. We would be happy to help you make a smooth move to Lisbon, Portugal.